Husband, M42, overwhelms me, F32, and I want a divorce, but he does not. Been married for 2 years. No kids. If I come back from work and sometimes just simply want to wind down, he just starts talking non-stop. Sometimes about heavy topics such as religion, politics, current affairs. It's also frustrating that he cannot accept that I have different views to him on certain topics. He always has to challenge me and try to get me to agree with him. It ends with him name-calling me. If we are watching TV, he will constantly pause shows/movies to air his opinion, which he will go on and on about. E.g. a show that is 30 minutes long, with him it'll end up taking up to 2 hours to finish it due to his constant pausing and airing his views. He spends his free time watching random YouTube videos and podcasts. He always has to share what he watches with me. Sometimes the videos are up to an hour long and he expects me to watch it with him, despite him having seen the video. I do it to make him happy, but I've also told him not to always do that. I have lots of things I need to be doing and can't constantly spend my free time watching videos that purely interest him. He gets so offended. Bear in mind he works 35 hours. 7-hour day shifts. I work 12 to 14 shifts ranging between 3-5 a week. I also do night shifts every other week. So when I'm not at work, I try to sort out any errands, do chores, spend time with him and also have me time. He doesn't let me have me time. E.g. I just came off night shifts, so naturally on my days off I was awake past midnight. I cleaned the house and finally had some me time by watching TV. He had gone to bed at 9 p.m. Yet he got angry at me for not coming to bed at the same time as him. Another time, I spent the whole day cleaning and I only had 3 hours sleep and went to work and had a day full of assessments. I also had to travel far for this. When I eventually came back, he just couldn't stop talking about his day. Again, I listened and eventually an hour later I shut my eyes. I still was listening. He carried on and on. Then he starts playing a video he watched prior and wanted me to watch it too. He made me get up and said it was a quick video. After 5 minutes of watching it, I asked how long is it because I am really tired. He told me it's 30 minutes long. I said yeah, that's too long right now as I'm really tired. He kicked off so bad by saying what have you done to be tired? Followed by him calling me rude and just shouting at me. When I tried to defend myself, he just got more angry. So I stopped saying anything, but he still went on and on. It is also ironic as he's always whinging that he's so fatigued despite never doing night shifts, working less hours than me, and doing less chores than me. He spends his free time watching YouTube videos. I'm always mindful of his space. If I'm on my phone in my own time after spending the whole day with him, it's still a problem to him. If I make him dinner, he wants us to both eat it at the same time even if I'm not hungry. If I go to the bedroom to get some space, he follows me there. If I'm doing chores or cooking multiple dishes at once, he will constantly interrupt me to watch what he's watching. Sometimes I would like to just be left alone. He's getting out of hand now, as when I've defended myself even saying that I just want to be left alone, he rings his sibling at midnight or my mom at 3 a.m. slating my character. Telling them how things are my fault, I am selfish, how he tries so hard with me. He makes me out to be this toxic villain. On NYD he did the same thing except in front of his mom and mine. He starts shouting, hitting himself, throwing things and said he had contemplated unaliving himself because of me. Naturally both moms were crying and upset. I tried to defend myself, but again he would interrupt and get more aggressive, so I stopped saying anything. He called my mom last night again, ranting to her. Despite my mom currently being in hospital with my brother right now who just had an operation to remove his cancerous tumor. He also told me that both moms have seen how toxic I am and they see my true colors because it was me, according to him, who had been dramatic on NYD. The gaslighting is unreal. I've said I wanted a divorce as this is too much for me. He's humiliated me in front of family, he minimizes my feelings and wants me to be his puppet. I told him I was not going to be emotionally blackmailed by the whole unaliving issue. He told me not to flatter myself. I just don't understand how I can get through to him that it's not working and to move on. On one part he's always on my case and criticizes me, yet on the other hand he doesn't want our marriage to end. I don't get it. TLDR, husband always wants me to base my life around his needs. He doesn't stop talking and constantly criticizes me rudely. He's now began to vilify me in front of family members. I've had enough and asked for divorce and he doesn't too. What do I do? Edit/update. we knew each other for 4 years before getting married but didn't live together due to culture. Before marriage there was no name calling, and, although he was passionate about his views back then, he would still take time to listen to mine. I hadn't seen the negative side of him until some time into marriage and living with him. My 40M wife, 37F, went on a girls' trip. I found a private message between her and her mother saying that she will divorce me if she comes and the house is dirty. How do I approach/confront her about it? This is going to be pretty wordy, as I'm still processing what's happening. Sorry if I give too much backstory, or not enough. I'd never asked for relationship advice before, because I never thought we needed it until today. My 40M wife, 37F, and I have been happily, or so I thought, married for 9 years. Our anniversary is next week. She just left for a 4-day girls' trip in the city, and I am staying home to care for our 3-year-old son. I wasn't thrilled about it since it's an expensive trip and money is really tight right now, but whatever. She doesn't get to see these friends very often since they live far away. I suggested that maybe we could all go together and I could spend all day hanging out with our son while she spends time with her friends. We could get a cheaper hotel than the fancy one her friends picked, and then she wouldn't have to share a room with them at night. She snores and is self-conscious about it. She did not like this idea, so we agreed I would stay home and she would go by herself instead. Our car recently broke down and we can't afford to take it to a mechanic, so I decided to work on it over the weekend. I can't leave my kid alone, so I took him with me and plopped him in the car seat with the family tablet to watch some kid shows while I work. When I turned on the tablet, a bunch of notifications popped up from a conversation between my wife and her mother, and I could clearly see that my wife said she was going to divorce me if she came home and the house was dirty. It did not sound like she was joking. It sounded like a foregone conclusion, like she's discussing if she should stay in the state or move away after the divorce. Her mother also seemed to be taking it seriously. Now, I am not the most tidy person, but our house looks like you'd expect any house with a 3-year-old to look, cluttered but not completely disgusting. We don't really have enough storage in our kitchen, so our countertops tend to collect things that we use frequently. She says she wants our kitchen to look like the ones on TikTok, but we're always making PBJs etc., so jars and commonly used utensils tend to live on the counter. We both tidy up when we have time. I do all the grocery shopping, all the cooking, and we split the rest of the housework evenly. Her only real solo chores are bath time with our son and putting the dishes into the dishwasher. She lets them pile up and does them about once per week and complains about how much work it is. I have asked her if she wants to switch chores and she always gets angry and says no because she is a bad cook. Fair enough. Here's where it gets weird, though. She just recently had a talk with me about how I don't respond quickly enough to her texts while I'm at work, and that it gives her massive anxiety because she starts to think that I secretly hate her and want to leave her. I assured her that's not the case, and that it's because I'm busy working. I have a job where lots of people are talking to me about time-sensitive tasks. She seemed a little relieved by my response. And now I find out that she's thinking about leaving me anyway, which makes no sense if she's scared I'm going to leave her. I thought maybe this was some kind of defense mechanism, but the conversation with her mother happened after I told her that I still love her and that I'm happy being with her. Some added context: she recently discovered TikTok and immediately developed what I think is an unhealthy relationship with the app. I've expressed some concern, but she's a grown woman, so I figured she can spend her free time however she wants. I sometimes tease her that she always has her face buried in her phone now because of TikTok. She just laughs it off. This is her main after-work activity though. She lays on the couch or the bed and scrolls through videos on TikTok. While she was packing for her trip, she told me about a TikTok video she saw where a woman left her husband with their child for 11 days, and when she came home the house was a disaster. I have not seen this video, so I can't really comment on it, but 11 days with no support from your spouse seems like a pretty long time to me. She was disgusted with how this guy didn't clean up enough before his wife came home, and said that he must have done it to punish her. I can't help but notice that she saw this video right before the conversation with her mother. Also, a few weeks ago she also accused me of malicious incompetence. She couldn't explain what it was, but she saw a TikTok video where somebody was talking about their maliciously incompetent husband, and I guess she felt like it applied to me too. I was pretty offended by this, as I bust my ass to keep our home afloat. I asked her for an example, and she could not give me one. A few days later, when I came home from shopping with our son, she told me that I was being maliciously incompetent for not buying oranges at the store. Oranges were not on the family shopping list we keep on the fridge. When I was at the store, I asked my son, the primary fruit eater in the house, what fruit he wanted, and he said bananas, so that is what I bought. But she insisted that if I were not maliciously incompetent, I would have gotten oranges, too. I can't help but wonder if these are truly her feelings, or is she just venting or trying to feel solidarity with these "my husband sucks" TikTok videos. I want to talk to her about it right now, but I feel like I should wait until she gets back since I don't want to ruin her trip with an argument. How do I approach this conversation with her when she gets back? I'm feeling a million different emotions right now. I don't want to lose my wife and son. I could just clean the house super well and pretend like I never saw the message, but I think that would eat away at me, knowing that she was thinking about leading me over something so stupid. And who is to say there won't be another secret ultimatum in the future? I can't play that game forever. Part of me just wants to print out the divorce papers and hand them to her when she gets home to see what her reaction is, because I honestly can't tell how serious she is about the whole thing. But at the same time, I don't want to make it worse if she's truly on the fence about it. She's made jokes in the past, at least I thought they were jokes, about leading me for a sugar daddy and having one foot out the door, but these were said in a joking manner and we both laughed at it. Again, this recent conversation with her mom did not sound like a joke to me. This has shattered my world and I'm not thinking clearly anymore. I'm not sure how I can go back to the way things were. I don't know if this relationship even salvageable. I can't tell if she's gone crazy or if I am actually as useless as these TikTok husbands I keep hearing about and just don't know it. Nothing makes sense anymore. TLDR, my wife is telling me that she's terrified I will leave her, but she's telling her mother that she's thinking about leaving me. This apparently all hinges around how clean the home is when she gets back from a girl's trip, but she has not told me this. Our situation mirrors TikTok videos she has watched recently. How do I approach/confront her about it when she gets back without making things worse? Edit, I'm going to take a break now. My head hurts and I've let my kid watch way more Lucas the Spider than I'm comfortable with today, damn that whiny owl. You've all given me a lot to think about. Well, except for the people that commented before reading the post. I'm going to clean the house as well as I can tonight and print out divorce papers. I don't know if I'll do anything with them, but if she's really determined to leave me, then there's not much I can do about it anyway, so I might as well try to make it amicable. If that's what it comes down to. I'll try to update, but she's probably not going to be home before the 48-hour time limit on updates is passed, so it might just have to be an edit on this post. Edit 2, I'm going to pack it in for the night. I feel like my responses are becoming bitter and less constructive. I don't want to start talking shit about my wife, that's not why I came here. Thank you all for the help. The guy she tells you not to worry about. Edit, I ended up making a new post with updates on the aftermath and more details. I, 32, abandoned my girlfriend, 27, in the city after she repeatedly broke my trust. Counting this relationship, my last 3 relationships have ended in me being cheated on. We had been together 8 months and had been planning a trip to a convention together. Shortly before the trip, she excitedly told me that she made a new friend who was giving us free tickets to the convention. Then things kept snowballing from there. She admitted having flirted with this guy by accident and asked me if she should feel bad. I asked her if he knew she had a boyfriend and her response was no, it felt weird to bring up. And I've learned people are less likely to give you free stuff if you tell them you're in a relationship already. I told her this made me feel uncomfortable and I didn't think it was outrageous of me to ask her to be careful with her actions and words around this guy. She knew I had been cheated on previously and it had destroyed my mental health. She had told me that she had cheated in a previous relationship when she was young and in a bad place, but that she wasn't like that anymore. She seemed to understand my reservations about this guy that she couldn't help laying out in front of me. At the time I hoped it was just her being transparent. So we finally get to the day of the convention and she makes a beeline to her new friend and spends 90% of her time by his side. I see whispering together and shoulder rubs and giggling and all kinds of things that make me uncomfortable, but I keep it to myself until we're alone. At one point I tried to go hold her hand, something we like to do often, and she pushed it away and said not right now. I'm stressed, while going on to continue laughing in conversation with this other guy. At the end of the day we're alone and I say, look, I really don't like how I'm being ignored for this guy you just met. I feel like you're crossing boundaries here that hurt me a lot, and I just want to reassert that this hurts me and give you a chance to stop. I don't like this guy, and I don't like the extra attention you're giving him. Her responses were, I'm not cheating on you, you can be his friend too. Just try to talk more to him. And I feel like you're targeting how I'm treating a friend because you've been cheated on before. I held firm. I don't like it, and I hope you take my feelings here seriously. Early next morning, she picked up her phone and was typing away. I pretending to keep my eyes closed and sleep, but I could see she was texting this guy. Saying how we had a fight, she felt stressed, worthless, scared. Meanwhile, the guy fed her positive affirmations about how special she was and how he liked her. My stomach kept sinking the more I caught out of the corner of my half-closed eyes until I had enough. I said good morning, and she rolled over on her side to face the phone away and started talking about how she was texting her coworkers. I gave her a weird look and she said my back hurts. You think I'm trying to hide something because I wanted to roll over to where my back was comfortable? You were texting his name. No, I wasn't. I just told you who I was texting. You're targeting me again. My eyes widened. I sat up and cast a 1,000-mile stare through the wall ahead of me. Why would you lie about that? I was watching you texting him. She had a small mental breakdown and began begging with me. I'm so sorry. I'll never do it again. I felt like you were targeting me with him. He's just a friend and I don't want you to think anything else. Still, we made up and went back to the convention where she again made a beeline for this guy and wandered around buying him things. At the end of the day, I told her I was going back to the hotel room and she said she was going to go out with the guy for drinks and I was welcome to come along and that she might stay at his hotel room. I said nah, I'm good, goodbye. That goodbye was the last time I saw her. I went and packed my stuff and drove back home several hours away. At 5 a.m. in the morning, she realized I had left and called me, freaking out that I abandoned her. I told her to enjoy the rest of her trip, but there was nothing else in it for me, and that all her stuff was still in the room her ex-boyfriend, me, had paid for. I also told her if she critically needed a ride home, I'd pick her up, not as her boyfriend, but only out of necessity. Her new friend would likely be able to drive her anyway. Here she bashed me for abandoning my girlfriend with no place to go. I listened to a lot of crying and begging but held firm. I've seen this story play out several times before. I no longer cared. It's hard to describe how I feel now. It's very hard to trust people without expecting hidden motives or something beyond my vision happening that would hurt me. I feel like I was right in finally putting my foot down, and every close friend I talked to about this told me I did the right thing and shouldn't have put up with that activity. But still, sometimes I have nagging questions about if I overreacted or if I was too sensitive. Like, if there's some way I could have done better, if I was an asshole somehow, let me know, right? I like reading these stories because seeing what other people have gone through gives me clarity during the times I was recovering after being cheated on. Hopefully this story can do the same for someone. TLDR, ex-girlfriend repeatedly ignored my feelings about how she was treating a new guy friend, and I finally gave up on the relationship.